Hello everyone, Neffertity here. Today's video is a recording that was taken during my art class that I teach on Discord. Today's class was about how to draw noodle dragons, or Easterns. They are long, slender, snake-like dragons that exhibit no wings. It's fairly simple, but I'm going to go through it step by step just so you can get a better idea of how to do it. But enough of my rambling. Let's go ahead and jump directly into it, shall we? Alrighty, so the very first thing you're going to want to do is begin with your base sketch. I like to use the circle base method because I find it helps my sketches really come to life and it lays out my anatomy a lot better than just trying to straight freehand the line art. I like to give Easterns these nice digigrade legs versus the more traditional, almost chicken-like feet that you see in them. This is my personal style preference. So definitely draw what you think fits best. They will always be one long, slender shape, just like a snake or an eel. Their chests don't need to be really big because they wouldn't have to have large lungs in order to power wings. Since they lack the wings, they can have nice, smooth, long chests, and torsos as well. Toes are a little tricky. I like to do almost cat-like feet on these kind of dragons, and all my dragons in general. I just find it makes them look really cute, and I like the sort of paw effect that it gives it. It definitely helps with my cartoony style, I find. Paws can be tricky to do, but I think I figured out a couple ways to really make it work. And now, onto the nose. I like to use a more canine or feline nose versus the normal nostrils that you see on classic dragons. I think it helps make them look more foreign and unusual. They don't seem like such a classic thing when they've got these noses like that. And fur is another thing to keep in mind. The length of your fur will definitely show based on how you draw it. If you want something really spiky, go for sharp, quick spikes. If you want something really soft, go for little round, almost puffballs on the ends. Or if you're going for a medium length of fur, which is what I did here, I mostly based it off of sea otters and river otters. Excuse me. You find that they have very nice short fur, and I also bounced off of the different ear types. Personally, when I have dragons that have ears, I like to give them these nice big ears because I just think that they're super cute and they emote really well. It just is my personal preference. I have seen some that make them a little bit smaller than what I've done here. A prime example of this is the dragon Haku from the movie Spirited Away that was produced by Studio Ghibli. If you're unaware of whom he is or what he's from, please watch the movie. I'll pop up a picture so that you can get a look at him. So you can see that Haku has that long, slender body. He is covered in very, very short fur, but he bears the almost chicken-like legs that you don't really see much else except in Japanese culture of these kind of dragons. He also has smaller ears and a more wolf-like face, which is another trait that Japan tends to exhibit more so than China. Both come from the East, however their styles do differ. And it's just a little detail that I've always found unique. But seriously, go check out this movie. It's amazing. Back onto the drawings. When I build out my sketches and I refine them is the word I like to use, I tend to use a brighter color than I did on the prior, which is the blue, and then I bounce the red on top of it, and I find it just helps to break up the lines and make my brain see it a bit better. By all means, you can use whatever kinds you want. It's all personal preference. I just find that it works for me. And if you would like to see a separate tutorial on how to do fur or hair, I would be more than happy to do so. Simply let me know and I will make it happen. And of course whiskers, because everybody loves cute little whiskers on Easterns. And there we are. We are done with the sketch. Now, onto the line art. My line arts are all free-handed now. I've gotten a lot more control with how I can do them, so I don't have to use the path tool anymore, which is fantastic because it saves so much time. The only real complaint I have about it, though, is that because of the muscle condition in my arm, I do get tired really easy and I have to take breaks, which is frustrating. But you have to take care of yourself, you know? You can't just dive right in and keep going till the end of it. You gotta take time to take care of yourself. And while the line arting is going on, since it's pretty self-explanatory, and I do have a line art tutorial if you'd like to learn how to do something like this, I will link it in the description for you so that you can check it out. If I'm able to, I'll put a little annotation up in the upper right corner of the video so that you can click on that and be able to go check it out. But my line arts take a while, so in the meantime, I will describe a little bit about something that I find helps me when I'm trying to draw, which is overall legs. Legs are the bane of my existence. I have only recently improved on them to the point where I'm happy with how they're looking now. They look a lot more anatomically correct. And I do want to give a little shout out because this is mostly due in part thanks to the constructive criticism I received from my friend Shadow Arcanist, or Arky as they're known on my server. They are awesome at explaining how not to do my bumpy little shoulders and fix my legs, and it helped phenomenally, so shout out to you. You know who you are. As I was saying earlier in the video, digigrade legs are different because a lot of people don't understand what the name means. They think digigrade just means animal, but it technically doesn't. Digigrade means an animal that walks on the tips of its toes. Humans are plantigrade, meaning we walk on the entirety of our foot. So when you look at a dragon, or any kind of feral animal for that matter, you automatically attribute the fact that they have weird legs with weird bends. But that's not the case. They have the same number of bends in their legs as we do. It's just the position at which they're done. They have one primary attachment at the hip, the knee, the ankle, and then the very tips of the toes. You can see here by looking at it that the toes are literally that. The toe is just right there and then that's it. That entire back side is the foot. That is the bottom of the foot. So when you're drawing them, I find it helps tremendously when you look at it as that. That is the back side of the foot. And that will help prevent broken leg syndrome that popped up in a lot of my earlier art, where it's like I added an extra digit to the leg and it just looked goofy. I find now that I've done more anatomical study, it looks significantly better, which I highly recommend. If you're ever lacking in one area, do some studies. Figure out where you're lacking. How can you improve? What can you study in order to better yourself as an artist? And do so. Trial and error is the best teacher of all. That and practice. You are going to have to practice whether you like it or not. You don't just get good overnight. You have to put the effort into it. That's one reason why I've always hated the phrase, "Oh, you're so talented." Talent implies that you did it like nothing, that it just happened. Skill comes along with practice, and that is exactly what I tend to do here. Alright, on to the flat color. Now, what you just seen right there is a neat little trick that I tend to do. When it comes to coloring in a character, I select the entire area outside the character, go up to my settings, select the inverse, which will effectively select the character, and then contract the pixels by 1, and fill it on a new layer underneath the line work. What that does is it gets rid of that little distorted pixeled edge that you see on a lot of line work where people try to select from inside the lines. It just doesn't quite reach and get all those little nooks and crannies. And I find this is a fantastic way to sort of skirt around that. The only issue is that on areas with fur or like really tight little bends in the lines, You will get itty-bitty pixel overruns, which can be fixed by just coming in with an eraser, altering them, and getting rid of them, or making the line art a little bit thicker in those areas. It is a little frustrating, but if you're an OCD nitpicker like me, it will drive you up a banana tree. So be wary that you may have to go in and fix stuff here and there, especially if the character is on a dark background. Oh, heaven forbid, white on a dark background. I see 1 pixel out of place. That'll drive me crazy. So here, as I'm doing this coloring on the mane along her back, this whole concept that I'm working on right now was to convert my character Neffertity into an Eastern dragon. I've done this once before in the past, and it was disturbingly horrible. If you would really like to see that, I will leave a link in the description to the Eastern Neffertity that was done years and years ago. But brace yourself, because it's bad. And here in the fur, I attempted to incorporate her fins and spines by using striped fur, and I think it came out absolutely phenomenal. It looks so cool, and it still resembles her fins, which is my favorite part about it. Feel free to experiment when drawing, you know? See what looks good, see what doesn't. You learn that way. Trial and error teaches the best, trust me. If anybody can trial and error, it's me. And doing her bands. I've recently learned how to put those back feet bands a little bit more, like they're positioned a little better, where they wouldn't be a problem for her walking or anything, because I used to wrap them around her foot, and I just feel like it looks stupid, and it doesn't look normal. It just, bleh, I don't like it. So, yeah, I fixed it. And it looks much better now. And then those beautiful little whiskers. I kind of get tongue-tied for a while sometimes, but this is one little detail I did want to point out. When I color the pupils on Easterns, I don't go for the immediate jet black in their pupil. I prefer to use a super dark color of the iris. I find it just adds to that foreign effect, and it really helps them look different. If you already do this with the pupils in your character's eyes, then I don't know what to advise. I have seen a couple of people that do this, so it looks cool. You know, do whatever looks best for you. This is just something that I personally do, so you can do it. You just have to put your mind to it. And her little foof at the end of her tail. That was tricky to incorporate since it's normally a big spade. And her lovely little underbelly that took so much time to do because I cut a lot of my trial and error here just to save sake of video. But the overall shape of it was just constant editing and editing and editing, and you can see a good portion of it here as I'm working on it. I didn't like how thick the orange was looking, and then I didn't like it how it fell on the chin, and I fixed it here, I fixed it there, I flushed other stuff out, I made it darker, made it lighter. There were so many things that just, I just was not too pleased with how it was looking, and it got to the point where I was getting frustrated with it. But patience persevered, and I powered through it. Thank you to those who were watching the stream who said, yeah, keep it, it looks good, because in the end, it definitely worked to push it all the way up to her chin like that. And of course I added her little slots in her belly, which she does have, contrary to popular belief. I figured it was more of like a marking here, but laying it out was kind of difficult. Trying to make a normally scaly character covered in fur was a unique challenge, but it was a fun one as well. I'm always at a loss for what kind of things to teach in my art class because there's a lot that I'm still learning myself. So if you guys ever think of something that you'd like to see, please, by all means, leave a comment and let me know. I'd love to hear back from you. And with her lovely little belly all fixed, now I can do the blue markings that people always get wrong when they draw her. Yay! It's a simple little spiral, wave, spiral, wave, spiral, wave. It's a simple pattern, but for some reason, almost everybody gets it completely wrong. And I'm so at a loss as to why. There's got to be something about it that just throws people off. Maybe it's how I draw it. I don't know. It's quick, it's simple, and it looks pretty. Especially now that I've added these little teal accents to it. I find it definitely pops a lot more than it used to. And then I'm coming in with just a little bit of dark detailing on the blue to help it separate a little bit and look more cartoony. I didn't like how smooth it was here. Even for fur, it looked a little too smooth. I almost came in and made the whole underbelly look more fluffy, but ultimately I decided that this was probably going to be enough. Sometimes less is more. That is definitely a truth. And in Neffertiti's case, a lot of people say she's so complex, but I don't know. I mean, she takes a while to color, but other than that, she's pretty simple. And this part was really fun. I had to figure out how to incorporate the markings on her wings onto her body somehow. And I tried to do these little stripes here in the same shape that her feather markings are. I was kind of skeptical about it at first, but once I had a couple more and I cleaned up the details and refined the edges a little bit, it turned out to be such a brilliant idea, and it was so awesome. I was so happy that this is what I decided to go for. And with that, this is the completed piece. I have successfully noodleized a Neffertiti. Yay! So I do want to thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you're interested in watching my art classes or just taking part in the normal jibber jabber that we do, feel free to join my Discord server. There'll be a link in the description for that. You can also follow me on all my social medias. I've got YouTube, of course, but I also have Facebook, DeviantArt, there's Furfinity, Furrimino, all these things that you can follow me on and be able to support my artwork. And I'm also on Ko-fi now, so if you'd like to buy me a coffee and keep me working while I get sleep deprived, that would be fantastic. But enough of my on and on and ons. Thank you guys so very much for watching. Leave a comment if you'd like to know something else or learn something new, and I will see you guys in the next one. Have a wonderful day and a fantastic life.